Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this is the SuperNova Show! And I am your host, Colton Roberts, and we're back. Yeah, it's been, like 4 weeks? But we are back on the internet. Yep, I had, the, dis- the disease that shall not be named, and then I had food poisoning. So, 3 weeks of my life was just like no bueno. But yeah, it's been an interesting 4 weeks, and of course we've got our main man, the reigning, defending, undisputed fandom fights team champion, Robert Kastner.
What?
What?
Who's that? Who you talking
Yeah,
about?
man, it has been.
It's been for like 4 weeks. I don't think we've had a show in a month.
Yeah, no, we have not.
Well, I mean, we had anniversaries. You had an anniversary. I had an anniversary. Then I had a baby shower.
Yep, and then I had
and
COVID,
then you got sick. So that was a nice amalgamation of things to keep us from having the show on Friday.
yeah, like so many things have happened. Like, yeah, like you had your baby shower, and also like the Panthers fired their coach and are gonna have to pay him like $40 million to buy out
Yes.
the contract, and then Christian McCaffrey got traded to the 49ers
Yeah, and yet
for 3 draft picks, and I'm just like, you guys are really just not wanting the team to be good.
Well, I mean, then they go and they stomp out the Buccaneers with PJ Walker, and now a critical game against the Falcons. Whoever wins is in first place in the division, so the Panthers could be in first place in the division.
I know, it is insane. Like,
yeah,
freaking the Buccaneers are doing awful, and Tom Brady's getting a divorce.
Oh yeah, can we? That was gonna be my thing, that we should all take a moment of silence. It was very rainy here in Texas. It was very gloomy, and the reason I think it was is because, sorry everybody out there, SuperNova Show stands, Tom and Giselle's divorce is final. 13 years of marriage just evaporated.
Which I wonder about that, because I read the headlines, but don't you normally have to be separated for a year?
They're well, you don't. Do you know how rich people's divorces go? I don't.
I don't either.
Yeah.
I'll never experience that. One, because I hope I never get a divorce, and number two, I'll never be rich.
You never know that.
No,
you don't know that. You don't know that.
Unless I win the lottery, which I don't do because I don't think I'm ever going to be. I will definitely never be that rich. Never in my life. I understand that money would corrupt me immediately. So, like,
you think?
I would just do stupid stuff. Like,
I mean, that's why you have advisors.
Yeah, like, people have always asked me, like, if you won $1 billion in the lottery, what would you do? I was like, I would keep 7 million of it, because then I could live the rest of my life and not do anything. Because with taxes, and then I only need $3 million to live off of, and the other whatever can buy myself an estate. I would set myself 40 grand a year as my salary, and if I live to be 106 and I run out of money, then that's future Colton's problem, and he's way too old for that crap. So, yeah, like,
I think I would start a business to help the community. And
I would probably,
and I would invest a lot. And I would, every time you see rich people, they have a lot of businesses. Like, I watch Shark Tank a lot, and they always talk about all their businesses they own. I would probably invest in that stuff. And then, yeah, I would definitely live away from the public eye, and I would not want to be near people ever.
Yeah, no.
Like, we were watching Cribs. You know, the Cribs came back. Cribs exists again.
I did not know that.
And I was watching a couple of those, and I was like, yeah, I remember what this was like, how frustrating it was. And there was like a famous music producer, and he was like, here's my infinity pool. I never use it. And I'm like, he's like, here's my indoor pool. My kids use it. I don't. I'm like, what is happening? I hate this so much. I forgot that I hate intruding on rich people's lives and learning that they don't really know what's going on half the time. Because this guy was like, here's my team room. This is the meeting room where my team meets and decides on things. I was like, you have no idea what's going on in there.
Yeah.
But we have to take a moment of silence because Love died a little bit today because of that Tom and
Yeah.
Giselle news.
And also, I mean, not just as actually more important. Robbie Coltrane died,
Yeah.
and that's pretty sad. Like I remember when I got the news at work, and I was so happy I was at work because that means I didn't have to cry. I had to like
You
be in
don't
public.
internalize it.
Yep, and I could just whatever. So yeah, like it's that stinks because like if you watch the Harry Potter documentary, he's like in 50 years, uh,
Yeah, he
I
said.
won't be around, but Hagrid will. And then like 9 months later, he's gone, and I'm just like, that's so sad.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of sort of called it. Unfortunately, he sort of saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah, and yeah, it's no good. But alrighty, but how's everything been?
It's been okay. You know, just prepping. Got a couple more weeks till little Izzy's here. Had the baby shower. It was a lot of work because we had it at the house. We had to prep the house. We never had that many people before ever. We had like 1,000% less people ever at the maximum, so we had to get that ready. But it came and it went. That was the sort of the hardest thing left, leading to when she's going to be born. So now we're just sort of nesting, getting things prepared, and then a couple weeks, gonna be a full dad, a dad with a real corporeal being out in the world.
Oh yeah, it is by far the best thing.
Yeah, I can't wait. My wife showed me a birth video today, a C-section video actually, and but you know, just seeing the baby be born, and she's like, "Can you wait?" I'm like, "No, no, I can't wait. I just want this to happen so that I can live in it."
Yeah, it is. It is quite an experience. Like I have so many thoughts that I can't even explain to you. Like once you hold her, you'll understand. Like no amount of holding other people's kids will ever uh like prepare you for holding your own. Like you made that little person
I
and
know.
like it is the most incredible feeling. Like
I'm eagerly anticipating is how I will describe it.
yep, you're gonna cry a lot.
Well, I cry.
Yeah,
You said that you couldn't cry, but I definitely don't care about being moved to tears in public. I don't.
well, just like when I'm having to like talk to people on the phone,
Oh,
because my job is to talk to eight people who drive like tractor trailers and stuff.
gotcha.
So like being upset and then also talking to like gruff Southern dudes, that doesn't really work.
Yeah, no.
So, I'll totally cry. Like I have no problems with that, but like the environment.
How about when Angela Lansbury died? Did you want to squirt a tear there as well? No.
Um, the fact that I'm not 100% sure who that is.
Oh my gosh. The lady who voices Mrs. Potts in Beauty and the Beast, who was on Murder She Wrote for the longest time, Angela Lansbury.
Nope.
Oh
Okay.
my gosh.
Yeah, I also someone else died recently, and I was
Yeah.
like, I have no idea who that is. It's
She did. That was important. That was an important one, along with Robbie Coltrane. But
yeah, and then someone someone's wife. They called her. It's someone who's pretty southern, and they're pretty famous in the South.
The Judds.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember.
Okay. Okay.
Probably.
That's
yeah,
fine.
like I remember seeing it and was like, I have no idea who this person is. But
Okay.
everyone on my Facebook timeline is sharing that this person died.
Interesting.
Like,
I don't know who you're referring to. I would think that I would know. I'm usually pretty tuned into celebrity deaths.
Yeah, let me just Google it.
No, I think what you're saying brings up some recall, just not enough to visualize and verbalize an actual name. Or even a face, honestly. But I will say that sounds familiar. But I don't know who you're talking about. Yeah, it's just weird. I guess when you get older, you start to be more aware. And especially since social media is at the level and news cycles are at the level where you get information. Colton, I got 4 different pop-up alerts about Brady and Giselle's finalization of their divorce today. And I got them in like my fantasy football apps. Like somehow this divorce is going to impact my fantasy football weekend tallies. They just played. Tampa just played last night. It's really crazy how it is you can get informed.
Yeah, wait for it.
I'm waiting.
I think it's Jody Miller.
I don't know who that is.
She was a wait.
Oh.
This doesn't. I hate all of this.
Uh-oh.
Because I don't know what. There's 3 it's Loretta Lynn.
Oh, Loretta Lynn. Yes. Sorry, you're right. Loretta Lynn died. I remember that coming up.
Yep, the coal miner's daughter. There
Yes.
it goes.
Played by Sissy Spacek.
Yep, and I was like, I have no idea who this is.
Yeah.
No.
Yes, you're right. That was important as well. But as a non-country music person and someone who hasn't seen the coal miner's daughter, even though I've answered so many trivia questions about the coal miner's daughter or heard them, no, that didn't pop as the other 2 did.
Yeah, no, but yeah, that's it. All right, so we just talked about trivia. The movie trivia report.
Yes.
So
a lot has happened in 4 weeks across all.
Snowdown ended.
Oh yeah, you know what's funny? I never finished it. So if you want to go through it, that's fine. I'm probably at this point. I don't know if I'm going to go back. So
this is one of those things where, like, when it was happening and it was ending, I cried.
Wow.
Because it was a big part of my college and early or late 20s.
6 years.
Yeah, it was a big part of my life. So, and it's the reason this show exists.
Yes.
Originally, I wanted it to be a Schmodown recap show.
We got, 2 years out of that?
Yeah, and I realized that I enjoyed that, but it's not interesting. And yeah, we did. We got some press conferences out of it. I went to 3. So we were an official Schmodown reaction show. But no, so that made me like the thought that if this didn't exist, this would not exist.
Yeah, of course. No, that was the prompt for this, for sure.
Yeah, and even though it's grown to be past that, I enjoy it. And yeah, I will probably never watch Schmodown ever again. Even stuff that I enjoyed, I probably just will not go back and watch it because it's past now. And they made several jokes during the thing of, oh, who's going to buy it so it can continue? And I don't think it should. Now that it's gone and we know some stuff about it, I'm just ready for everyone to come back and like I talked to because like I I I asked Amaru if he wanted to come on the show. He would probably come on the show in December, but he was like, I saw that he signed up to play Fandom, and I was just like, oh, this is going to be interesting. And yeah, like very, it's going to be an interesting time for all of this. Like, but so Robert's gone, so I'm just going to keep on talking. But it's a big time. It was a good 9 seasons. Christian, if you're ever watching this, thank you so much. There are a lot of opportunities that presented themselves because of the Schmodown. Like most of the stuff that I do is because Schmodown related stuff. Like most of the people that I know are because Schmodown related stuff, and that's just how it is. Like so. Yep. It's been an interesting time. But all right. Well, Robert will be back eventually, so I don't want to start on our next little segments until he does. So let's share some stuff to the internet, guys. Yeah. If you're out there in the SuperNova show landscape, drop a comment. I will super appreciate it. Yeah, it'll be good. Rock on. Yeah, there's a lot of things going on it's an interesting time. But we will move on to House of the Dragon, She-Hulk, and Rings of Power in just a moment. But let's see. Speaking of which, until Robert gets back, since we were talking about Robbie Coltrane, he was absolutely in Slytherin. All right, this has nothing to do with anything. Like Hagrid was definitely in Slytherin. I know that's probably not a popular thing to say, but guess what? In the first book, he talks about how Voldemort was in Slytherin. Guess what? No one outside of Dumbledore and his Death Eaters knew that Tom Riddle was Voldemort. So unless he was in Slytherin and knew who Tom Riddle was and then recognized him later, he wouldn't have known that he was he wouldn't know that Tom Riddle was Voldemort. And then also in the second book, we find out that he's been creeping around the dungeon. Man, he's gonna have to go all the way from Gryffindor Tower all the way to the dungeon instead of going from Slytherin's common room to the dungeon. That makes much more sense. So yeah, Hagrid was in Slytherin, and that's the end of that. And I needed to talk about something until Robert got back, and now he's back. So here he is.
Yeah, there was a flash of my power dying. So there's a big thunderstorm. So I can't tell you that won't happen again.
All right. Yeah.
What were we talking about? / what did you?
All right. So I finished talking about Schmodown.
Yes.
Kind of just thanking Christian for making this, because if it didn't exist, the fan leagues would not exist. This podcast would not exist. Like a lot of the relationships I have in my life would not exist if it was not for the Schmodown.
Yeah, I mean that's the same. It's funny because it's just something I stumbled upon. Just like knowing that I wanted to watch people play movie trivia and see if there's like stuff online, and I just came upon that, and then like binging the current season, which was season 3 of it, and just wanting more of it, and then learning that the communities existed and you could play in that stuff because I'd play along. It was a big deal. I mean, it's a big part of the hobbies I've set up since I've started living in this part of the country, and like the friendships that I've developed along the way, which have led to like long, extensive talks and hangouts
Yep.
with you and other people in my faction and things. So it's helped me be able to channel my competitive juices that I haven't got a chance to do since I like left high school. It's very important. It just, by the end, it was starting to waver for importance for me because it seemed it didn't have the same zhuzh as when I started out. So, as can be explained by the fact that I watched the first 2 matches of it, got sidetracked, and never got back to it.
Now, I will say,
So, if you want to tell me who won any of these, that's
as the last time we'll ever do movie trivia schmodown predictions, this guy won the predictions.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I killed it. I don't claim anything else, but I'm happy. The last one we'll ever do, I won.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find our. Okay, so you it was ruling class versus who's the boss? Who's the boss won.
Yeah.
Andrew beat Nikki.
Okay. I mean, that was a shot. I was a flyer. I took a flyer on that one.
Both of us got it wrong in the IG match because Kevin won.
Wait, who did I say would win? I don't remember.
You said Parker and I said Chandru.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Marisol won over Rachel.
Who picked?
You chose Rachel and I chose Marisol.
Man, what was I on?
And then we both chose Sam, and yeah, Sam won.
Okay. What was I on when that?
I don't know, but
happened? Okay. I don't know why I chose Rachel. I guess wait, I had a reason. It was because I
because
she was studying with Sam the whole time. So I was like, how is like she's got to be itching to get back and play this last thing, and then I was just wrong.
Yeah, I kind of. And then at the end, like, it was a sad show, but it was way too long. Like, I understand that it needed to be that long, but it was 7+ hours.
That's why I think I got what? So I got past wait. No way, I saw who won the team. Yeah, because
oh yeah, and King Arthur
won.
Yeah.
With Paul Ayama, which was great. Good for Paul. He gets to end with a title. No, I got through the 2 teams matches, and then I was like, I don't know how much more of this I can watch right now. And then I just got sidetracked. I was trying to catch up on all the shows that we talk about on this show. That wasn't this. And that took precedent. Not to mention all the trivia dalliances that I have that I also had to prepare for. So.
Yep. All right.
Well, thank you for letting me know. We'll see if I ever go back and finish that.
I would not recommend it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if you want to watch it for the emotional value, yes.
I just want to see if it triggers anything in me.
Yeah, like, but man, is it way. If it wasn't for the fact that whenever I was sick, I was sleeping in this floor.
Oh yeah.
Because instead of giving my infant son and my wife COVID, I slept in the floor in my office for 10 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
You don't have like a cot?
Yeah, well, I got an air mattress.
Oh,
so
okay.
That was good, but it was still the floor, which after days of not really great support, it did kind of hurt, but it was good. And also being this close to the TV that many days in a row was because I had to work from home. So that means I had a laptop and had that TV that close. And yeah.
How many times did you watch Star Wars?
Not a single time.
What? I'm
Nope.
shocked.
No, most of the time when I was doing that, I've been watching people play Dungeons and Dragons a lot, and it's
Interesting. Yeah. There's that show that shows up on like was it G4? And I can't remember what it's called, but that show comes on a lot.
yeah. But yeah, like it was interesting. Yeah, like I still have not caught up to Andor yet. I've still only seen the first 4 episodes.
You know, it's funny. I forgot that the new episode had aired, and I was working while watching the last episode, the most current one, to be
Okay,
ready.
so
Even though I know you said you hadn't watched it, just in case you wanted to
I want
throw
to.
anything out there.
So I watched the first 4 episodes, and because I don't have this as a thing, because there's been 4 more episodes. Episode 8 just ended, right?
Yep, we got one more, right?
No, I
Or is
think
it 2?
I think there's 14.
There's 14 Andor episodes?
I think in this first season there are.
Oh my god, I thought it was almost done.
Yeah.
Not that I want it to be done necessarily, but
Okay, so does it get better?
so how I've understood, because I do watch reviews on things, and how I understand how this works is that the first 3 episodes were an arc.
Yeah.
4, 5, and 6 are an arc.
So I should finish 5 and 6.
5 and 6 are the best episodes.
Okay.
By far.
Because
then,
I watched the first 4 all in the same day, and it was the most boring Star Wars television I've ever watched. And I just don't have.
You didn't like episode 3 with the escape or whatever?
Not really. Like I didn't.
You didn't like all the cool, like how like the warehouse they were in was like falling apart and like people were
like
dying.
There's all this stuff that's really cool, but I don't know why I'm not interested in the show. Like even like Stella. Oh my god, I don't want to. Well, this episode's been like 4 weeks. If you're still watching this and you haven't watched it, like him being all like kind of mellowed out and then going to Coruscant and putting on the wig and then acting extravagant, that was the best part of the show.
Okay.
And so I understand.
Do you not like the Mon Mothma stuff where she does the same thing?
Yeah, like, but I've heard there's good parts of the show, but every time I'm like, ooh, I'll watch this. Seems like there's something better for me.
5 and 6 are the best episodes. 7 and 8 have been they're its own little thing. This episode I just watched was the longest one. It was like 50 minutes.
Okay.
So it was like an hour. And so that's how I understand. I don't know what happens, how it materializes after 8. Again, I thought I only had 1 or 2 more episodes. So this is a shock. No, I like it. It's so well written. It's got like the budget behind it is almost Star Wars. It's Mando Star Wars movie level budget behind it. It seems, and Tony Gilroy's a great writer. So I like this idea of understanding how a rebellion gets built, because we've only ever seen a rebellion in the midst or at the end of a rebellion. We never see how it gets built, which is an interesting concept. So if you can get past like how there's a lot of politicizing, because that's what happens. We're in Coruscant. That's where the Senate is. We go back to the Senate to spoil something for you, but we go back to the Senate.
Well, I've seen, that was in the trailer. So.
Okay. Well, we go back to the Senate. Like, who thought we would ever go back to the Senate? Especially after it got fucked up. And
I really want to watch Tales of the Jedi.
Yeah, I was gonna start that because I saw that they're like 18-minute episodes, and I was like, oh, well, that's pretty short.
Yeah, I would probably do that beginning next week, because that I've heard is good. I've heard there are some people that are freaking out because Dave Filoni has kind of overridden canon. But
Didn't he already do that?
Yeah, he already did that with season 7 of the Clone Wars with the same, because when Cartoon Network had to when Disney canceled the Clone Wars because it was on Cartoon Network, they wrote a book. E.K. Johnson wrote a Ahsoka book, which is the last chunk of it's most of season 7, and then her after.
Yeah.
So some of the episodes are in there, and there are apparently he has retconned some stuff, and people are freaking out because
Because you can't touch. She's like cellophane, or like she's behind bulletproof glass. You can't touch Ahsoka Tano's story.
well, and I know there's something like apparently there's a lesbian in the book, but she's not included in the cartoon show, which I understand because it is a cartoon show.
Yeah, but like you can make
But
allusions to it without it
Yeah.
being like sexual.
Yeah, like
People can have cartoon shows have relationships depicted where it's not overtly sexual and you know the nature of the relationship. You can do that with a same-sex relationship. You could do that.
Yep.
I mean, we have a same-sex relationship in Andor.
Yeah, like I am really excited for the Count Dooku episodes. Those are what I'm excited for.
Wait, how do these work? Because I saw there's like 6 episodes, right, that are out right now. Is it like pockets of 6 episodes that come out? Is that what's happening? Or
no, I think it's only those 6, but I think there's 3 Dooku episodes and 3 Ahsoka.
Oh, I saw a lot of Ahsoka in the panels and stuff in the templates.
Yeah, I think it's pre-Phantom Menace stuff with Dooku, Qui-Gon, Mace Windu, and Yoda and Yaddle. That stuff,
Yoda and Yaddle?
Yeah, because I know at one point I've seen like part of the trailer where he is dueling Yaddle. Dooku is, but man, if you look at that, like he aged so much between this show and being Christopher Lane.
And how old is he supposed to be in this?
I guess like 20 years younger than Attack of the Clones, Dooku.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
And Ewan McGregor in 8 years is supposed to, or whatever. Yeah, in 8 years, right? Is supposed to age into Alec Guinness. So. Whatever.
At least that one makes a little more sense because he's probably been like under the 2 suns for that long. Like, and it does seem like, hey, Obi-Wan may have like ran around during that first chunk. And
maybe.
Yeah, and he was kind of sorrowful for himself. Whereas once he takes on the full role of I'm gonna be Luke's protector, he's probably out in the sun a lot more.
Okay.
So, I mean, I don't freaking know. But all right. House of the Dragon, She-Hulk, or Rings of Power first?
Dealer's choice. I'll let you decide.
Okay. I want to do She-Hulk because I have big things to say about House of the Dragon.
Okay. What was the last episode of She-Hulk we talked about? Do you remember?
Oh God, no.
Would that have been the Madison episode?
It probably was.
Okay. Or wait, did we? Yeah, I think that was the last one. I was trying to think if we did the copyright, the Titania copyright episode, but I don't remember.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure out if I want to put my 2 big rants and squish She-Hulk in between them, or put She-Hulk at the beginning so she doesn't receive all that negativity.
You can do a negative sandwich.
Yeah. Well, because House of the Dragon is going to definitely be negative.
Oh, okay.
And Rings of Power is mostly.
I gotta tell you, you saying that makes me wish Abel wasn't who he is and didn't have to party all the time, because you saying that would really, because I know his opinion of that show and my opinion to a lesser degree, but he would probably go off on you, and that would make for a great.
Okay, so this is what we're gonna do.
Okay.
House of the Dragon. There are definitely elements that I think, like, oh my lord, Patty Considine, or however you pronounce it.
Considine.
Yeah. He is the best part of the show, and
he's the best. He's the actor I'm most compelled at, especially at the end. I'll say that.
Like, there are things like, I think it's so weird that they aged him so much during the show, but Rhaenys is older than Viserys is, and they
Yeah,
haven't
but she
aged.
didn't sit on an iron. She didn't have to deal with the stress of leading a nation. She also didn't have to get pricked and have blood
Yeah,
diseases for 20 years.
yeah, that's true. And then like Damon, up until this last episode, they didn't seem like they aged him really at all. Or
No, you know what? I see it a little bit. I felt like early he didn't have it seemed like there was weight in his face at the end. So I'm not entirely sure about that. I also think when they cut his hair, it aged him up a little bit. So
but
uh,
yeah, like I like all the stuff with him.
yeah, he's the most compelling character.
So there are some things I don't like because I'm a book reader, and
Uh
I can tell you, like now that the season's over, I can at least tell you everything that I don't like about the show because of how different it is in the books, and now I know it won't change.
I mean George is show running this. So
Well, so like one of the reasons why Viserys was chosen above Rhaenys is in the books, Rhaenys looks like she's a Baratheon, so
mhm.
she has black hair, and they were like, the realm's like, no, we need a silver-haired uh, heir to be on the Iron Throne. So they were just like, okay, so Viserys gets it, even though he's less qualified, and so that I'm like, yes, all right, cool, I like it. I like that they made her look more Targaryen because
I think if you're doing a show called House of the Dragon, before you bring in the element of Rhaenyra's children being bastards and obviously being the spawn of House Strong, I think you have to. I think it'd be weird if right off the jump it's like, oh, Rhaenys, this person in the Targaryen family, doesn't look like a Targaryen and is lying to get the throne. That'd be a hard thing to explain.
well, because like that's actually one of the reasons why in the books they don't know that uh, they're like, look, sometimes Targaryens turn out with black hair. Like they don't just they like in the show is absolutely a given that Rhaenyra's uh Jacaerys and Lucerys are bastards.
Hmm.
Like it's absolutely a given. Like only her children with Daemon are should be legitimate heirs to the throne. The other two should not, and because they are clearly not Laenor's children. Um, and I heard the point someone say, and I kind of agree. Like I don't want to I don't want to say this. I don't mean this in any negative way, but this is one of those times where I hate that they changed the Valeron cast. They changed them to a African actor.
Okay.
Mainly because if they had done that, they should have made the strong actors also African. Because then at least her children would have also turned out black. So then that entire hey, uh, you they look like this. We have Baratheon blood in us. So they could turn out with dark hair, but they also turned out with dark skin. So the entire ruse of them being Laenor's children is still there. Like not once in the books are they really like shown off to be like bastards. And that
Well,
kind of makes Alicent right because up until that point Aegon should have been king because her descendants are not really uh legitimate. And the fact that in the show they in the book they do Laenor actually dies. So
mhm.
her getting with Daemon is legally justified. But the fact that Laenor is still alive makes their marriage invalid, which makes her children with Daemon also bastards.
Yeah, but
So
nobody knows that, so it's for the sake of what the public knows, that doesn't
Yeah. So
necessarily
like,
matter. But in relation to your the thing about the race, what I've noticed in TV and movies is that they will do when they have a situation, especially if they're mixed race. What they'll do is they'll take the gender of one and the race of another, and that's the children. So in this case, they're boys, which necessarily would come from the Valerian side, and then they take their more white skin from the mother. Like that's if you've ever watched anything that's and which is why on the other side with Damon and
Lena's kids.
Lena's kids.
They look like their mother.
Yeah, that one they sort of ditched that, but they
like, and that's the part like I like because I was like, they did this thing, and like I was so convinced that they were gonna because I think I'm trying to remember what the last episode that we talked about was. Was it?
it was the sex dungeon one.
Okay.
Most likely. I don't think we saw the one of the repercussions of like where they talked. No, wait, did we watch the bloody? We might have seen the bloody wedding. We might have talked about that one. I don't think we've talked since the time jump.
Yeah, and I think like because I think the first part of that is Damon and Lena and their kids being off in Bravos, right?
Yeah, they're in Pentos.
Pentos.
They're in Pentos, just chilling because everything's sort of squaring away that Rhaenyra and her clan are going to be in charge, and that's the lineage. And he's like, "All right, we get to keep the family bloodline strong. I don't have to deal with any of the politicking. I can hang out and be like a guest of these people, live in lavish luxury. I can learn more about dragons and harvest dragons for the rest of my days." And that's cool with me.
Yeah, and I will say, like, I wonder where they're gonna go with the entire. Oh my lord, we haven't had the spoiler tag up. Luckily enough, no one's watching. So
these are weeks and weeks old, though.
Yeah. Man, this show is really this show is really gung ho for bad pregnancies.
Yeah,
man. Like
we've had 3 of them.
Yeah, like
no, Lena's was the most tame.
Yeah,
Emma's was pretty bad, and then Rhaenyra's was awful. That was pretty bad.
Oh yeah, no. I still think Emma's was the worst because Ezra was a C-section baby, and just watching that made me remember.
I mean, her pulling out a stillborn baby from her uterus is pretty bad.
Yeah, and Lena setting herself on fire just so she wouldn't have to deal with the pain anymore.
That's the difference, right? That's the difference between Lena and Rhaenyra, is that Lena didn't want to handle the pain and didn't want to have to deal with actually producing a dead child. And Rhaenyra's like, well, I got bigger fish to fry after this. It's not going to go well, unfortunately.
Yeah, and then
I'm here to be the queen.
I do like that, unlike Game of Thrones, they didn't make the Targaryens magically fire resistant.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Because that's not a thing in the books. It only happens the one time when the dragons are born because of blood magic. So that's the one time it ever happens. And in
unfortunately, Game of Thrones, they did it
all the time.
All the time.
Like she gets into the hot bath, she touches the eggs in the fire, and
she burns up all the
cows, and then
burns up all the cow wives, former wives.
Yeah, and so that just happened, and I was like, "Oh, well, this is supposed to be a prequel to Game of Thrones because they've established like Viserys knows about the Song of Ice and Fire, which I'm like, oh man, you guys are really like painting a Jon Snow picture here, but we know where that
I
goes.
mean, they have to do that though.
I
If you
know,
don't,
like
if you don't acknowledge it, it's really weird for the state of HBO and Game of Thrones.
yeah,
So
like
they back themselves into that. I think it's a decent way to acknowledge it, but it not be like the thing that runs everything. I know
like
it's a big plot point now because it led to what episodes 9 and 10 were all about, but it's not like it's not a thing that's overruling the main purpose of the show, which is just about inner family turmoil, which is
yeah,
basically what this show is.
but yeah, like I've been watching the last few episodes and been like, I think minus the fact that like kid Allison I liked a lot. I think adult Allison is too much like Cersei Lannister, and I think Otto.
No, I disagree with that.
Well, I mean, willing to do whatever she can for the
Yeah, but she's not.
family.
Cersei Lannister would definitely have taken the Otto Hightower approach of imprisoning and killing Rhaenyra's whole family, and she's trying to avoid that at all costs. So I disagree with that. I understand the parallels, what you're saying,
Yeah,
but
like,
I think there are
and I think
strict
Otto
deviations.
is they're trying to make Otto too much like Tywin,
He's a lot like Tywin.
which I don't know how I.
Yeah, but we don't have anybody that what I've heard of criticisms about the show for people who like Game of Thrones, early Game of Thrones, is that we don't have the unabashed root for character. We don't have that. We don't have a Tyrion Lannister. We don't have one of those, unfortunately. And when there's so many characters and they all straddle this line that most people in Game of Thrones do, but some people don't, uh, it makes it less available for you to get in touch because you can't root for anybody.
Yeah,
Who do you root for in the show? Rhaenyra. I mean, she was someone who didn't want to have this burden and was basically a petulant child for the first bit of episodes, and then married her uncle and had a spawn. And now, after the spoiler, everybody, untimely death of Luke, is gonna go fucking ham in season 2. So it's hard. I like the show. I like shows that take a big concept and try to boil it down into something small, and that's what they're trying to do with House of the Dragon.
and
It'll be interesting when we expand again because most likely we will probably start off with Jace in the north
yeah,
at at River Run, at the Vale at Winterfell, and we'll get to see those places, which we
yeah,
haven't seen in a minute.
like I am very interested. Like I do think they kind of are painting a lot of their characters in like a gray instead of being black or white.
I mean, Damon, you were starting to get on board with Damon, right?
Yeah,
Through the majority of this episode, and then she starts tugging. She starts tugging at the dragon's tail, and he fucking
and
chokes
then
her. He chokes her out, and you're like,
like
oh,
even like Aemond, he is supposed to be like cold and calculating, and in the books he goes after Luke,
yeah.
and
That's
he
what I understand. That's a big deviation from the book.
and
He does it on purpose.
yeah, he does it on purpose to kill him.
Yeah.
And when Vagar goes through the dragon, he looks so regretful. So
Yeah.
I'm very curious. Like I've liked
It's a choice to make sure that you don't have somebody so over the top that
but I do like Aegon a lot. Like
well, I mean
his
he's a shit heel. That's what he's
yeah,
supposed to
his
be.
portrayal is almost perfect.
Mhm.
And I
You know
like
who I like? Sir Eric. The good one, not the
it.
other one. Not the
Yeah.
other one. What's their last name?
Uh
It's not like Cargill, right? Or is it? I can't remember.
I don't remember.
Okay, keep talking. I'm gonna look it up because I
But
need to
yeah,
know.
like I think next season will be a lot better. I think
No, I was right. It's Cargill. It's the Cargills. It's Eric and Eric. I knew I was right. I like Sir Eric. I think he's fucking awesome. I hope. Apparently, he's very. And you have to tell me anything. But apparently, he's very involved in this big plot point, Fire and Blood. Right? Well, I understand. There's like a big thing he does beyond what he just did in the show. From what I understand.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that if they do any semblance of that. Yeah, I mean, people like to see war in Game of Thrones. We
Like,
barely got any of it. We got one episode of War in the Stepstones, and then it was done. And you're like, oh, cool.
yeah, I do think it's weird how different it is from like we kind of in the first season of Game of Thrones, there's like multiple stories with multiple key characters.
Yeah.
This one, it really only has the one story.
Yeah, I think they're trying to streamline it.
And I'm not sure if I like that or not. Like, I understand why they're doing it, but I'm not sure if I like it.
Maybe they'll expand that out a little bit as we expand out the universe. When you're only doing stuff about one family, it's very insulated. So it's hard to think about how things branch out. How we have many different diverging timelines, a la Loki. You don't get that. You get a prime timeline because everybody's around each other all the time. So.
All right.
Anything about Laris and foot fetishes? You want to touch that at all?
I mean, I don't really, but I mean,
I thought that was hilarious. I thought that was the funniest thing in the world.
That was one of the weirdest things because I thought at first I thought that's exactly where it was going, except not a foot fetish. I thought, oh, they're sleeping together. That makes sense. And then she just takes her shoes off, and I was like, oh, okay, well, then they're about to. And like she props them up, and then she looks disgusted. And then
she can't look at it. She just turns away.
Yeah, and then you can see him going, and I'm like, dude, are you really just gonna cum your pants like this?
Yeah.
That's pretty jacked up.
Jacked up and jacked off. You know what I mean?
But
no, yeah, I like it. I think that's like a weird because we never saw Littlefinger like engage sexually at all. He was basically asexual.
Well, yeah, like he does Liza on their wedding night.
Yeah, but like we don't see it.
Yeah, no.
So he's basically asexual, much like Varys is, which is interesting how they that was always my favorite like twofer duo at the beginning of the show until it was Tyrion and Varys.
Yeah.
But I always liked the jabs and the jibes between Varys and Littlefinger. But Larys is a little bit of a different breed. And as noted by how he spills his brood, if you will.
Yeah.
I just wanted to bring that up because
it's interesting. Like
if we get Abba on the show, he will debate you on this. So I hope that we can make that happen.
Oh, that he
loves this show.
Like
he unmitigatingly loves the show.
Like I see that there are definitely elements that are good. I think
it's very well made.
Yes.
Like that shot at the end when Luke's flying up through the clouds and then you just see Vagar's shadow stalking him is it's like Jaws. It's terrifying. That's wonderfully done. The whole sequence for the most part. Like why can we do that where I can see everything that happens, but when Aemon takes Vagar first on the beach, I can't see shit.
Yeah.
Why can we do that and we can't do that?
Have you seen the scenes of what the scene actually looks like?
No.
Oh my lord, it's bright light. It looks great, and they darkened it.
Yeah, I know that.
Like, you're so okay.
I mean, Miguel Sapochnik. I don't think he should direct episodes. Fine if he wants to show run and produce, but like when he directs stuff, it's hard to see.
Yeah, like whenever you see like her and Damon on the beach, Rhaenyra and Damon on the beach, and they are just in full sunlight, and then it cuts to and it's black and blue, and I'm just like, why?
I'm
I
like,
understand.
I think they're having sex,
Yeah, like
but I can't tell who's who. So if you told me that they weren't, I'd be like, well, I couldn't tell, so I don't know.
yeah, like I understand. A lot of people are like, oh, people have sex in the dark. I'm like, okay. I mean,
Yeah, but
it's not.
we're not filming it on digital and blasting it out for millions of people to watch.
Yeah, like
I mean, that's the main difference.
yeah, and I don't know. But, like, I do wonder, do you think that since they wrote Lenore out, do you think he'll come back?
Yes.
Okay, I think
Well,
so.
hold on. Back, like back into the fold of the Valerians, because no, but I do think that we will do like an a la Arya when she goes to Bravos. I do think maybe we will get a little bit into his life.
Honestly, I think it was so weird how her Rhaenys and Corlys were so anti Rhaenyra, and then when Aegon gets crowned king, Rhaenys flips the script and goes and joins their side.
I mean,
But
the fact that she was imprisoned and was basically having her hand forced is she already had her hand forced 20 years prior when she didn't get a chance to be the queen as she so rightly should have. So I think that's just I'm sick of adhering and I want to rebel.
yep,
That's why.
and like it's weird. It's definitely like I hope the next season goes well. It's like
I
the exact
mean,
opposite that problem that I have for Rings of Power when we talk about it.
interesting.
Is yeah, we'll
No,
okay.
I think it's a very well made show. I was on board with it. Are there parts that are slow? Yeah. Are there parts that make me? I didn't read Fire and Blood, but are there parts where I'm like, this seems a bit contrived? Sure. Should Renice have just burned the fuck out of everybody at the Sept and saved the day? Yeah,
Probably.
probably. And they made a bullshit excuse why she didn't. Although in the
It's not
after the episode,
start.
the after the episode in 9 was bullshit, like the explanation the showrunners made, but then they followed up at the last episode where she's like, it's not my war to start. That I am a little bit more okay with.
But I mean,
But she still probably should have done it anyway.
yeah, well, my rationale for that is she's not starting a war. She's stopping someone from usurping the throne from her potential grandchildren. Because
Yeah, but I guess like if you look at it from a certain perspective, it's like based on what Damon says to Rhaenyra, it would have been her job to stomp out a rebellion. She was the queen, but she wasn't.
but
So
yeah, like but she could be doing it for because guess what? When her daughter and Jaehaerys make a baby, guess what? That baby's gonna sit on the Iron Throne because he will be king. So she's really just doing it. If she had just taken out the entire Hightower line right there, just ensured her son will become king. But guess what? Now, or her grandchild will one day become king. But now she has not done that.
no.
And
But we
yeah,
get dragon on dragon fights, man.
yes, that is one thing like I'm really excited about is dragon on dragon fighting.
I'm a big fan of the name Moon Dancer. I know Moon Dancer's like a big dragon in the book or whatever.
Yeah.
But in the history of Westeros.
But
But no, I'm on board with it. It sucks that it's not going to come back till 24. I mean, that blows, but can't
yeah,
do anything about it. They should have figured that out. They should have figured out that. I mean, they got they got season 2 ordered before the first episode even aired. They should have been like, let's go.
I know that's so weird because like Game of Thrones always did that. They released it every single year. They as soon as they renewed, they were already filming.
Yeah,
when they
I
renewed
mean,
it.
Walking Dead does that too, or used to do that, but they would
Like-
always do that. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, we're film." They would be the middle of the season. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, we're getting ready to film the next season." Like, great. Well, for the most part, I said that. Now I don't say that, even though I'm at the end. I'm so close to the end, but I watched the latest, like the episode coming back of the last 8 of Walking Dead, and I was like, I fell asleep during it. I was like, "Ugh." I want to see the end because I've put in so much time, but I don't.
All right, so She-Hulk.
She-Hulk.
I apologize for
or She-Hulk, if you will.
So, man, some interesting stuff happened.
So do you want to do the compliment sandwich where you say something nice and then you go on your rants and then we end with something nice?
Well, all right. So I really actually like all the Daredevil stuff is good. All the She-Hulk stuff is good.
Episode 8's the best episode, hands down, not just because of the Daredevil stuff, but because she's a more fully fleshed out person as both Jen and She-Hulk.
I like that they did I like that they played on themselves of, oh, we're gonna have this big fight, and then she's like, no, we're not doing this. And then she breaks into the Disney Plus app and is like, I gotta find
It's a fun idea. I don't know if it was my favorite thing, but it was a fun idea.
It got old really fast.
I mean, like somebody brought up, like, why does she beat up security guards? That's just pointless.
Yeah, like it got old really fast once she started, but I liked the concept.
I like Kevin as an AI. I thought that was
Yeah, Kevin Feige as an AI is
so apparently the thing was he didn't want it to wear a hat. He thought that would be a step too far. And the writers or whatever were like, we already went this far, guy. Come on. Just let us do that one thing. Come on.
But yeah, I like the show a lot.
It's the funnest Marvel show. Can we say that?
Yeah.
It's the one that takes itself the least seriously, and it had the most fun. And there's something to be said about that for movies that were designed on the back of being comical.
Yeah, I will. And then of course, like the Scar reveal, which I already knew that was going to be a thing.
That's so funny.
But it made me feel so bad for Black Widow because man, Bruce is like, oh, we can't have a regular relationship because I can't have kids, and she's like, well, I can't have kids either, and he's like, but that's because I can't do it. And then apparently
he didn't know going to space was an option.
Yeah, like, or I don't know what woman endured Hulk.
Yeah,
but I want to meet her and be like, congratulations.
She probably died.
Yeah, she probably did die.
Probably died in childbirth, I bet.
Unless she was like some kind of special Sakaar lady.
I didn't know those existed. No,
Well,
just
I mean,
feel bad for Black Widow because she's dead, bud.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
But
yeah, I liked it. I liked most episodes. Some episodes are obviously better than others. Some episodes take turns they don't need to take. I thought the jokes for the most part were pretty good. The CGI did not bother me except for when it was slow. Like when she's fighting, when she's running, looks great. When she's walking through the halls and talking, looks like shit. So it didn't take me out of it. I thought that would definitely take me out of it. It didn't. I was very happy about that. Yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. I don't know where I would rank it. We did our rankings. How many things have come out since we did our rankings? Miss Marvel in this?
Yep, and I already put Miss Marvel on my list.
Okay. I don't remember where my list went. I think I would have Ms. Marvel probably in the 20s. Maybe the high 20 or the low 20s, should I say? And She-Hulk would probably be around there too. maybe a little bit higher. I think I liked She-Hulk more than that, but I think I like, and I gotta say, since these things come out, there's so much fucking back talk about Moon Knight, and it angers me. Like, nobody even thinks about Moon Knight anymore. I'm like, well, that was like 4 shows ago. Nobody thinks about Hawkeye either,
Yeah,
honestly. So that's stupid.
I put Miss Marvel above Moon Knight. It's
Okay.
number 10 on my list.
I understand that. That's a fair point.
I think I would put She-Hulk above Loki.
Okay. People love Loki. People every time I ever hear somebody do a rankings Marvel show, it's always like Loki and WandaVision.
Yeah, and
All
then
the time.
they revealed today that apparently Marvel's going to do I don't remember what the show's called, but it's going to be a Vision show.
What?
Just Vision.
Why?
Um
Is it because Elizabeth Olsen's going to be in Agatha, Coven of Chaos, or Harkness Coven of Chaos? Did you know like Jeffrey Dean Morgan and people are going to be in that show?
I did not.
Yeah, I saw a cast thing. Now it said he was going to be Mephisto, which I doubt was true. Maybe this wasn't even a real casting thing, but there were some interesting people whose name showed up in it. I was like, oh, cool.
Oh yeah, I remember the name because it was a funny pun. Vision Quest.
So will it be like the 80s movie about wrestling? Because that also was called Vision Quest.
I have no idea.
Okay, I can dream. I can dream that they go into that. Did you like when She-Hulk did the Incredible Hulk opening from the 70s or whatever?
Oh yeah, that was
That
good.
was really good, right? I enjoyed that quite a bit. It also made me think of Family Guy when they do that too.
Yeah, or I remember like the first time I had ever seen that wasn't even the Hulk. It was in Scrubs where JD turns into the Hulk in a
Yes.
fantasy that he has. And I was like, okay.
Yeah, I remember that.
But yeah. She-Hulk was good.
She-Hulk was not egregious. People think it's egregious because of twerking and wokeness.
Oh yeah, I know. I have a person that I used to work with who he's like, it's the worst show ever. I'm only watching it for Daredevil, and because it's so woke. And I'm like, it's really not.
It's really not.
Oh, a superhero woman who has sex. Oh,
Yeah,
women are not
dumb.
allowed to have opinions or have sex or apparently do anything without it being woke. And I'm just like,
I mean, that goes in line with, everything that has somewhat of a liberal agenda is labeled as woke. And, liberal on the surface is just meant to be, openness. So when we came into a bipartisan political party, conservative and liberal became dirty words. And they're not really. It got bandyhooed that way because that's how people have to argue one side or the other on their politicking.
Yeah, like I don't care about there are some stuff that I'm just like, oh, get that out of my TV shows because it's too real. But and whenever I watch stuff, I'm like, oh, I want to watch it to escape reality.
Yeah.
But most of the time, I'm like, oh, I don't give two craps about insert thing here.
Unfortunately, art's a reflection of society.
Right? Yeah. So. And not everyone can be down the middle. A lot of people are on the end of the spectrums, and the end of the spectrums don't really like the other end of the spectrum. And
I think it's a loud minority of 10% to 20% who are on the fringes, and most people are moderate. But moderateness doesn't sell. It's not. Yeah. It doesn't drive home things. But we all live there. Unfortunately, it's funny that we kind of hate where we live, so we prefer if stuff's on the margins, even though it's gross.
Yep,
it's a weird thing. It's like revenge porn or something. I don't know, or it's like fantasy porn or whatever. But it's of a way that isn't interesting or isn't like self-satisfying. It's just something that we want to hurt ourselves when we watch it.
Yep. All right. So Rings of Power.
Yes.
All right. So
We haven't
I
talked
love-
about this since. God, did they even get on the boat to go to fucking Middle Earth yet?
No, I think that was the last episode.
Okay.
They had decided they were like, we're gonna sell. So
Okay. So
they
this is when the white tree, the leaves are falling. We talked about that episode with the visions from the
Yep.
Palantirs. Okay.
Yep. So they go to Middle Earth, and Mount Doom explodes.
It does. It really
It-
does.
It explodes in a very cool way. Like I liked it, and apparently it's scientifically sound. And if you add cold water to magma, it will explode like that. So cool.
Yeah. That makes sense physics wise. You
Yeah.
know, it's trying to expand and it can't, and it bursts.
And I understand what Adar is doing. Like he needs his children to be able to live out in the day. So if he pollutes the skies, which we know does happen because the fact that like
Mordor that our orcs run around.
yeah, and it gets so far out to where they can go and attack Minas Tirith without being hurt in the sun. So we know that happens. So great. Like Adar is probably he's not my favorite character in the
Uncle
show.
Benjamin.
Yeah. Man, there are so many things that I've realized. Like Adar was Uncle Benjen. Freaking Elrond is Ned Stark.
Yeah.
Oh my lord.
Yep. Everything, even though we just talked about House of the Dragon, even Lord of the Rings revolves around Game of Thrones.
Yeah, like someone brought up the other day, they're like, we haven't seen Cregan Stark yet. We saw his dad Rickon in the first episode.
Yes.
Would it not be funny if they cast Elrond to play Cregan?
Cast Hugo Weaving?
No, like young.
Oh, okay.
As like a throwback of, oh, this is the reason why Ned eventually looks like this because it runs in the family.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh God, please don't do that. One, because I hate that Rings of Power is going to take 2 years. I understand why, because for $54 million an episode, they are gorgeous. And there is stuff like the fact that there are some frustrating things. I still think this is my favorite show of the year, which is hard because I remembered Peacemaker. When I made that claim a few weeks ago, I was like, I forgot how good Peacemaker was. And
so good.
But there are things in the show that I don't like. Like, I hope that he's not Gandalf, but it's pointing that way.
He is definitely Gandalf.
Like, I wonder if they have, like, painted it subtly enough to where, because all they call him is an Istar or a wizard, and then he does some Gandalf-y things. Like,
says the Gandalf line.
I know. I'm wondering, like, if they could just say,
oh, that's just a wizard line? It's a thing wizards do?
Well, because, like, the Mystics, they say, he's the other. And in that time period, there are two blue wizards. The blue wizards come together. So it could be that they're changing it and one blue wizard has came and that they think this other thing is Sauron. And they're like, oh, this is the other.
Gotcha.
And the other blue wizard.
That could happen, but it certainly seems like he's Gandalf.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people, Tolkien diehards, don't like that. And
yeah, I know you don't like it.
I don't care. Like,
oh, I thought you didn't like that.
For, like, as a Lord of the Rings nerd, I know it doesn't make sense, like, timeline-wise, but guess what? Marketing-wise, I totally understand. Because if you can say Gandalf's in this show, people that have seen the Peter Jackson films are going to be like, oh, cool. I still feel sorry for the actor because now if he is Gandalf, he will be forever compared to Ian McKellen, which is the reason why I hope that he's not. I hope he's if he's Radagast or one of the Blue Wizards. No one's going to compare him to poop on
Sylvester McCoy.
Yeah, no one's ever going to be like.
In that case, he should just be a blue wizard because there's no way you can imagine from what you know from Radagast in the Hobbit movies that he would be able to take out these mystics and be like all powerful like that. Like it would be such a stretch to try to connect that. I'd rather them be blue wizards.
Yeah, I really hope that he is. But the fact that he has a fascination with hobbits and he says the Gandalf thing and all of that, he's gonna end up being Gandalf. And yeah, it bothers me from like a Tolkien nerd perspective, but it does not like bother. What bothers me more is that in the books, Sauron doesn't have anything to do with the forging of the three rings.
No.
He has something to do with the other 16, which I wish we had seen them be made first, and then the elves be like, okay, now we'll add
Don't you
now
mean
we'll make 3 of
17?
our own. Well, because he makes the one, and that makes
Yeah.
20.
Yeah. So
So
he's involved in 17 other rings.
yeah, but
Yeah.
like, so he's directly involved with the 16 lesser rings, and
Gotcha.
then there's the 3 elvish rings that he has nothing to do with.
Yeah.
So now I have to figure out like because he's got to have at least get his hands on the 9
Yeah.
because he's got to give them to uh men. And
See,
I'm completely content with if they get 7 and they're like, "Hey, Elrond has a relationship with Durin." He's like, "Hey, give these to your people." And then
mhm.
Sauron uses that and like
Is that hard to connect now that um Galadriel has basically told um Celebrimbor and Elrond that they shouldn't be doing business with Halbrand anymore?
well, that's the thing is she doesn't really say that. Like,
She does. Well, she does though. When she leaves, like we shouldn't. I don't remember exactly what she says. But she's like, we shouldn't like have him here anymore, or like he shouldn't be coming around here anymore, or something. She does say that.
yeah, she's like, "He's gone, and
We're
we
not.
don't need him here anymore."
Yeah, we're not gonna like
But
host them anymore. Basically, is what she's at.
and Elrond knows what's up because he saw the paper
He did.
or the scroll, but they're still being like, "Hey, let's make these 3 things." And, I do like man, I have watched the scene of Galadriel figuring out that who Sauron is probably about 100 times. Like Halbrand explaining, "No, I wanted to stay in Numenor. No, you're the one that actually saved me on the boat," and being like realizing, oh, he's been manipulating her the entire time, and
Yeah,
her slowly realizing, and then him being like, she being like, "What's your name?" And he's like, "I've been awake since the breaking of the first silence,"
it's a pretty
which
sweet
is a
line.
reference to like the god of the universe. He was pretty much alone, so he created a bunch of children, angel children, and then they all sang together, and it created the universe. So like I like the idea that he's like they can't directly reference that, but they can indirectly reference the Song of the Ainur, and I love it. And but yeah, like and now he's going to Mordor and he
He's
is
there. He's at Mordor.
yeah, like I absolutely cannot wait to see him and Adar face off.
By the way, can I tell you the funniest part of this show? The part
Yeah,
that's the most unintentional comedy part. It's when after the thing explodes, right? And all the orcs are gathering around Adar, and they're like, "It's the Lord of the Southern Lands." And he's like, "We're not going to call it that anymore." And they're like, "What are we going to call it?" And he looks up, and in the sky, there's writing, and the Southern Lands title is removed and is replaced with Mordor. It makes me laugh so much.
oh,
I
I
thought it was the
actually
funniest
love
thing.
that because Mordor is a elvish word for blackland, so
Yeah.
it would make sense that the elf would name it Mordor.
No, I get that. It
Yeah,
makes
like
sense canonically, but the it was like Zombieland. It was like making the words a character. It was
now
like
I will agree. I wish they had then cut to the map and then it crossed out Southlands and wrote Mordor on the map. That would have been
that would have
better.
been better thematically. In the
Yeah,
sky, it's really funny.
yeah, because like they had used the map so much
They did. I mean, they used it
during
a
the show,
lot.
so it would have made sense. But like now, I'm really like I do again. I know where the story's going. Like the Balrog does not need to do anything else because we are.
No, it's just hanging out.
Yeah, it's not supposed to wake up. I mean, or get disturbed again for another like 2,500 years. So we shouldn't see that. Technically, I mean, freaking Gandalf's not supposed to be here for another 1,600 years, but let's just not even worry about that.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, like obviously we know Isildur, he's fine.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing. It was just like, oh, my son's gone. I'm like, he's not gone. Why
Yeah,
didn't you look harder?
I know. And, like this is one of those things where like the next season for both the shows we talked about today that we know are getting season twos, House of the Dragon can only get better for me, or I'll stop watching it. If it gets any worse, I'll probably stop watching it.
Okay.
But Rings of Power, it can only get worse.
Okay.
I mean, it can stay where it's at, but if it gets worse, then I'll stop watching it as well. Like it has so
Wow.
much potential to just if it treads like it is, like it's on an upward trajectory, and it just can keep that forever. Like, have you read like Charlie Vickers, the guy who plays Halbrand? Like he didn't know he was playing Sauron, but after the first thing, he was like, "I'm pretty sure I'm uh playing Sauron," because they had him try out it or read some lines from Dracula, and
Yeah.
then Hannibal Lecter, and then Satan, and he was all like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm playing Sauron." But then they cast him as a dude named Halbrand, and he was just like, "All right, that's weird." And they were like, "Yeah, so you got to be like kind of menacing, but also kind of charming." And he was like, "I'm totally Sauron." And they're like, "No, you're not."
Jesus.
And
Good job, showrunners.
yeah, and I do like.
I mean, I get it. You have to do that because you have to make sure that the person can, suffices to play in that role. But Jesus, that's pretty bad.
But yeah, and like I like him. Like I know a lot of people complain that like in the books, Sauron goes as like an elvish looking guy, and that's how he corrupts Celebrimbor because he's like, "Hey, the Valar sent me to help you," and he looks all handsome and stuff. But I like the gruff look that Charlie Vickers brings to Sauron. It's more relatable to me as a viewer than a majestic angel man. And
Yeah, I would agree. I think
I think like a lonely man is more like could corrupt Galadriel more. And the fact that like I like that she is still suffering uh due to his corruption, even all the way to when Frodo tries to offer her the ring, and then she's like, I've passed the test because even then she's like, I could be tempted by Sauron because I've done it before. Like you could see that transition. And
yeah.
so and yeah, like everything we talked about today, I think all has potential, but it also has like if he's Gandalf, I the Tolkien nerd of me is not gonna like it.
No, but
But
it will keep Amazon in
yep.
the black if he
And
is.
I will say, like, whenever the Mystics came and they called him Sauron, and then like with his power over fire, I was like, oh my god. I didn't think that at all. Like in my mind, I thought, oh, he could be Sauron. But the more and more we watched the show, I was like, there's no way. And that was like they were like, oh, you're Sauron, and I'm just like, nah, they're trying to fool me because they're actually going to reveal who Sauron is.
Yeah, they wouldn't just say that. That would be that wouldn't work with how TV
Yeah,
usually conducts itself.
but
Do you like the fact that we're probably not going to get many Harfoots?
I actually do.
Okay,
I
because it's
one
probably just going to be
day
Nori. So
I really do wonder because if it's Gandalf, there is a part where he never actually makes it to the East because in the East they don't know who he is. So if it's Gandalf, he can't get there, which means he has to come back this way. So I'm thinking we will eventually see uh, female Samwise Gamgee again. We will absolutely see her and the Harfoots again.
well, I mean, Nori will be there the whole time, but
Yeah. But I do think if he's a blue wizard, we'll never see him again. If he's
wow.
Gandalf, we'll see him again.
Okay. Well, I
Because
mean, yeah, because he has to keep building that relationship with the
the Easterlings, yeah.
yeah.
And he has to stay there because he never comes back during any of the Third Age. If he's a blue wizard, he has to stay there.
Okay.
So, like, but if he's Gandalf, then he can not ever make it and then, still do stuff in Middle Earth. And that's fine.
Okay.
But
I enjoyed all three shows. Although Lord of the Rings at the time when I was trying to play catch up seemed more like a chore because of its length. But I did like the ending of it. It engaged me, and I like to see how things are built and how they try to make the dendrites, the tentacles connect, all the synapses fire, and all the neural mappings happen as the ways of a show to go from prequel to what we know. And I thought they did a very not a wondrous job, but they did a more than sufficient job to do so. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing that also most likely in 2024 because for some reason Rings of Power and House of the Dragon have to be near each other from this to the dawn of time.
yeah. At least Rings of Power is already filming, so we might actually get it before.
Oh, is it filming? I didn't
Yeah,
know that.
it
Okay,
started filming.
that'll probably be in 23 then, in the fall.
Well, I think it's still supposed to be because they have a lot of post production to do on it. But it started filming the week of the finale in Edinburgh, Scotland, and in New Zealand.
Okay.
So,
well, it'll be early 24 then, which will be probably 6 months at least from when House of the Dragon will air.
yeah, that's the one reason why I think like if the internet explodes and they don't like that he's Gandalf, they may change him to be a blue wizard just so the internet doesn't freak out. But if the internet doesn't care, which for the first week after the episode came out, man, people were mad. And now I think it's died back down. So I think they aren't going to make any rash decisions.
People
like
can't stay angry. It costs too much energy.
Yep.
Or something else happens that makes people angry.
Yep.
Takes the place of that. I don't know what happened between then and now. Oh, Kanye.
Yeah.
Kanye happened.
Also, Elon Musk showed up at Twitter. And,
oh yes, that also happened.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yay.
Yeah.
But all right, let's call that a show.
Okay.
Thank you, Robert.
Of course, yes. It was a long hiatus, but we're back. And,
yes.
We can work on, like I talked about, having additional people show up for various things. Although the people that I talk to don't necessarily watch all these shows together, but we can craft topics and figure out how it is that we can interweave them into our normal dialogue.
Have you watched Black Adam yet?
No, might do that tomorrow. I haven't decided.
Okay,
might be a date night. Might be the last one. before.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch it before next show.
Okay.
So we can talk
try.
about that next week.
I'll let you know if that actually comes to fruition or not.
Okay. Yeah, because I switched work schedules starting next week. So I'll work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 8 to 6, and then Saturday and Sunday, 6 to 6 for the next 2 months. So I'll be able to be off Thursday and Friday, which means I'll have plenty of time to catch up on stuff. So I should be caught up on all the things. I'm
Yeah.
gonna definitely watch Tales of the Jedi. Man, that looks so good.
Oh.
But yeah.
Just if we're doing our sign off, watch we didn't get into fan leak stuff too much, but watch the fan leak stuff. I know that you just had a match that aired in Onto Geek.
Yep. There's not a lot of people that beat Duel of the Fates, but one of them's me.
True. I have matches coming up in that league in multiplex. And then TMG stuff, it's slowed down a little bit, but I think it's going to pick back up soon. So you want to see me, most likely I will be in match stuff. So just keep your eyes open over the next couple weeks. More stuff will drop, and I'll be in it. Or at Robert Kastner on Facebook, as you know.
Yep. And then you guys can follow me on Twitter at Colton Roberts 8. You can follow the show at SuperNova_show. We'll be back here next Friday. See you guys.
Don't forget to tip your virtual waitresses, everybody out there.